and hopefully won't take us too long.
Yeah, a couple weeks. Only 2 years. We'll finish it, definitely.
Okay, we're going to start by Shem Gimel. It says the Mechaber. Kirishi Asif Kikdeira. Speak out quickly. Sif Aleph is a long Sif. And I'll speak out quickly to what's going on here, and then we'll see it inside. Basically, Sif Aleph is talking about the two shitas of when you need gar for cutting. You want to leave something shehiyah. Sif Aleph is shehiyah, leaving something on the fire. When you're allowed to leave it on the fire, and when you have to do grifa of tima in order to leave it on the fire. So as Machlokes Mechaber in the Gemara, Baran and Chananya, the Baran hold has to be in this pasuk called Sarchai in order in order to be able to leave it on the fire. Chananya holds that as long as it's kamachal ben derisoi, it's a third or half of the cooking, it's enough, and then you're allowed to leave it on the fire without grifa of tima. But once you do grifa of tima, once you do cover the fire or take out the coals, then you're allowed to leave it on no matter what level it was cooked. And there's a chiluk between akira and a tanner. What we spoke about till now was akira. A tanner is something that's very, very hot, and a tanner, even if you do grifa of tima, it does not work. And a kupach is something in between, and we'll see the difference what a kupach is like in the Mechaber. Today, our ovens have a din basically of akira, and therefore grifa of tima does work. It says the Mechaber, akira sheyatsui k'gdei v'shevsin al pi k'gdei l'mayla. Akira that's made like a pot, and you put on top of it a pot to cook it in the pot on top of the fire. V'yesh b'mokim shvisa shtei k'deis, you can put 2 pots there on top. And buska b'gefes, if you made the fire with gefes, a type of I think it's from garbage. Shehib psalus or zaysim, eitzim or with wood, which is regular coals. Then also little tafshel v'idyoim. You're not allowed to put a tafshel, something that's cooking v'idyoim. Lahashoisei aleha, to leave it there on the fire. Eldam can especially called tzarcha v'mitzamek v'ralei, unless it is cooked totally and it's not going to gain anything from it being on the fire. So basically, they're leaving it on the fire only for one reason. The reason is that it should stay warm. Then there's no chash that you will stir the coals, because if you stir the coals and you make it hotter, it's going to end up ruining the food.
The stomach means that it's getting less.
The stomach problem means it's shrinking.
Yeah,
shrinking more and more. Or if you put something raw on the fire right before Shabbos, like it's Basha Klal, and here the reason is the Kibbutz Shulchai, since it's raw, Metziach Daita Yemenu Ad L'Mochar, you take your wine off of it till the next day, V'chal Alayla, and over the whole night, Yachal is Basha B'loi Chitvi. So you have here 2 heterim, either it's a stomach viraloi, or it's chai, you put something raw on the fire, and the reason why it's mutter is because you don't have to do anything to it. You could leave it till tomorrow. By tomorrow, it will get cooked already.
And this is only for akira, as far as raw, or is it also raw also by...
Akira is by everything. Yeah.
And the assumption is that by Shabbos morning it will be mebushal kotor, and anything beyond that would be mitzamek v'ralei.
Correct. By Shabbos morning it would fully cooked, and if you're going to do chitah, you make it worse maybe. Yeah, so we spoke out where we learned
the 2 extremes, and either it's fully cooked
or raw.
Fully raw. In the middle.
But not in the middle. That's also according to the first shita. According to the first shita, it has to be either fully cooked or raw. Now we spoke at then that raw, if it's going to be put something on raw, today days, and that you could use it at night, there won't be a heter. And there won't be a heter. Because you put chicken in raw before Shabbos, and it's early Shabbos. You'll have till a couple of hours till you eat the suda if you want to. You get the chicken will be cooked. Then there's no heter, because you're using it for Friday night. If you're using it for Friday night, there's no heter. So we go the chumrah both ways. The Maisa that you can't put it on raw if you can use it for Friday night. And the same thing is, if you don't put it raw, you put it partially cooked, but you know for sure you're going to use it for tomorrow. For example, the challenge. everyone eats the challah on Shabbos morning. No one eats it Friday night. Unless you're yeshiva bachar. Most people don't eat challah Friday night. So then, if you put it on Friday night, there should be a heter because you're not going to touch it till the morning. No, we don't say that our challah has a heter. So therefore, according to the first sheet, it has to either be fully cooked or it has to be raw. It was special ksas, it was special called torah, it was cooked a little bit, but not called torah. But filled in a special called torah, it's good, it's fully cooked, but it gets better and better, it gets more cooked. You're now allowed to leave it on the fire. They took out all the coals, you cover them up with sand, to lower the heat. If the whole thing is now raw, but you put a raw piece of meat inside of it, through that, fine. So that's the first thing of the Rechava. Now, it's not Garf and Katam. First of all, before we go further, we spoke about then what's called Garf and Katam today. And so our blacks is a big shaila in the Baiskim. If it's called Garf and Katam basically was you lowered the heat of the fire. You put on a blech, the fire is still as strong as it ever was. And the question is if that's called Garf and Katam. So Chazanish was not very pro our blacks today. Moshe Feinstein is making on it and our blacks today. And it says that if it's covered, it's enough of a hecker that you shouldn't come to do rifa or tima. The Shabbos spoke in that you have to cover the knobs, because the knobs are the way higher and lower it. So therefore, some people are machmir to cover the knobs also.
So rifa means covering it.
Rifa means covering it, yeah.
And means taking it out. Rifa means taking it out. And rifa means
rifa means taking it out. And tima means to cover it.
To cover it. Yeah.
Garf means to garf, to take out, rake it out. And tima means to cover it. But the covering of the coals then was a covering that lowered the heat. Our coverings aren't really lowering the heat. That's where the shaila starts.
So if your oven was hot, you turn the element off.
Yeah.
That gives sense to be fun.
Yeah, if your oven is hot, the oven itself inside, and you shut off the flame, that's called Garf and Katam. That's a real good tima. Keep food in the oven, that's called the regular Garf and Katam. The oven is on, then it's not called Garf and Katam, which I'm not sure why the Olam doesn't realize that.
It's on low, maybe.
It doesn't make a difference, even if it's on low. As long as the oven's on, and there's food inside, it's called any Garf, any Katam. On top, you'll never see somebody putting something on the fire without a blech. Even though it's a special called torah, we don't do it. Inside the oven, people do it. They don't realize that inside the oven, if the fire is on, that's called any garf, any cotton.
But it's also blech inside the oven.
No, no blech.
The bottom one,
no.
It's a blech. It's fully covered.
It's not a blech. It's called any garf, any cotton. That's the way you usually cook. It's called any garf, any cotton. I'll see soon if you give a makeup. That's the shita SEMICHA, the first shita, a stam. And then it says, you're allowed to put a pot next to it, the samach chutzela next to it on the side. This is all if it's begefes if it's gefes organization, but if it's kash or gavava, then you're allowed to leave it on top, even though it's not garb, it's not conflict term, because kasher gavava, if you're going to be mechat it's not going to really have a chittur, it's just going to get worse. Therefore, there's no chash chittur on kash and gavava.
Kasher gavava is a lesser worry.
Yeah, there's no worry because they're not going to be garb and chittur. So you go out right away. See, by Tana, there's a chumrah, but in a kira, there's no chumrah, and kasher gavava, there's no problem. It's not really the today. Because we don't have any fires made out of kash and gavava.
So Akira by 8 together, so you not be allowed to put a pot next to it?
So next to it you could, right? Mutter lismach lakadei v'samach chutzla.
Either fuel.
Yeah. It says over here, chutzla v'kash v'gavava, mutter lishmas allow. Without even put it on top of it. If it's gifted to H, you're allowed to put it next to it. Shehiyah, we're talking, not Shabbos, Shehiyah. But if it's Gefes Beitz, if it's Kasher Gavava, you're allowed to even leave it on top. Hagash Teikir Samasima Zu Etzizu, the Dervish and Cheres Beineihem, you have two ovens that are right next to each other, and you have a cheres, a wall of earthenware between them. Ha'achas group of Viktuma, Vashniya, Eine group of Viktuma, Mutter Lishos ala group of Viktuma, Alpha Fish and Moise of Heaven was Eine group of Viktuma. This is basically a lot of what I said before about Smicha. You're allowed to leave it on the oven that's Gara B'Kotim, even though it's right next to the one that's Eine Gara B'Kotim. Smicha, leaving it next to it, is Mutter. The Tanur, Afilu Husa B'Kasher Gavava, the Tanur, even though it was lit with Kasher Gavava, also, Afilu.
What is Gavava?
Kasher Gavava is like straw.
No, Gavava is what they used to do with the cows' leftovers.
Double.
They used to make it with the thing and made the cakes, and fire of it. Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
Also, I feel this Mechlai, I feel in Gar V'Kotim. So a Tanur is very chomedik. Even if it's Kasher Gavava, you're not allowed to even do Smicha. Even next to it, you're not allowed to put it. If it's lit with Kasher Gavava, Tanur, everything is also because a Tanur says it's so hot, it contains the heat so much. We're always choshesh you may do a chitun. Kol zman sheyat tzeledes boy, only as long as yat tzeledes boy. This is also very important to know. If the oven is not yat tzeledes boy, then you can put whatever you want in there because there's no din of bishul, there's no din of an oven if it's not yat tzeledes boy. For kol shkirchen,
everything, even if it's got from cotton, you can.
Where? By a Tanur, yeah. As long as yat tzeledes boy. And the reason is that the Ram speaks out.
There's still a little bit there.
Right, there's always a chash if there may be a drop left, and that drop will be v'chata.
So we just saying before that inside the oven we would say it's always in a gurf and a kotum. Yet we can't leave anything there in Shabbos.
Say again?
We just finished saying that inside the oven is always considered in a gurf and a kotum.
In our ovens.
In our oven.
If the oven's on, yeah.
But what about if it's on but it's not yet to let, or is it always automatically?
Yeah, the oven's on. Usually that stuff.
Always you have to let it.
Yeah. Otherwise, what are you leaving it off for?
Just keep it warm.
I mean, you can put it.
Yeah, but you can't keep it on 100 degrees. Once it's
so it'll always be at to let.
Yeah, it'll always be at to let.
Well, the reason you can keep the pot right beside the heating element on the top of the stove is that there's not much heat. Is that just below yet so as well?
Where?
It says
It says Smicha Spela too.
No, Smicha could be Tziyat Tzeledes boy. Smicha next to it, even though it's Tziyat Tzeledes boy, still you're allowed to keep it next. As long as it's not on the kira, you're allowed to leave it next to it.
Because the amount of heat there would be minimal.
No. Even if it's Tziyat Tzeledes boy, even if it's very hot, still you can leave it there. As long as it's not on the oven, Smicha is mutter.
And the one hour he's going to move.
So what's the reason?
What's the reason? It's not on the oven. The only chashash chitun was on the oven. Next to the oven, we didn't make a chashash shemoneh-esrei. By Tanur, it's a problem. By Tanur, it's a problem. The kol shkirchen also lishas b'toichai yagava. You now leave it inside the oven, on top of the oven. Smicha is also kol shkirchen next to it or inside, on top of it or inside. The kupach, which is similar to a kira, but only has a place for one pot. So So here, a kira is split. The muslim kasher gavava, dina kira. If we have it kasher gavava, which is the less of a chash chitui, we give this kupach a din of a kira. We give it a eitzim, dina ketanur, we give it a din like a tanur. Tanurim shalanu, dina kira. Our tanurim have the din of a kira. That's a cloud. Our ovens today have a din of a kira. Therefore, if it is garf a kotim, you're not to leave a pot on it. Now, v'mshokach v'shah. So here we get a little bit sidetracked. V'mshokach v'shah. If someone by mistake left the pot on the fire when he wasn't allowed to, for example, he left it on the fire and it wasn't the special called torah-study, according to the first shita, emu tafshu shabishul called torah-study, mutter. If it's a tafsha that was cooked, called torah mutter, afilahu mitzamik v'yafala. Even though it's mitzamik v'yafala, and here's a cloud, that even though he did something wrong, but since he's not gaining so much of it, because it's a special called torah, If it was shokach, if he made a mistake, then we let him use it as long as it was a special called tzarkai.
And according to the other opinion, Machal ben Yusai?
Yeah, we'll get to that soon. Machal said maybe not. Machal ben Yusai, you gave me more.
Right.
It's cooking more, yeah. See soon. Aval, Devu Tafshol Shehiskal his Bashol, the Labishal called Tzarkai also. But if it's a Tafshol that is started cooking but didn't cook called Tzarkai, then it's also to use it according to the Shita Ad Mata Shabbos. And Amar B'Shia, if you did it B'Davka, also B'Shneihem, it's also, even if it's Mistamik V'Yafaloi, it's also to use it if you did it B'Mezid. So, a quick recap. According to the Shita, that
which Shita is this?
This is the first Shita. This is the first Shita in the Mechaber, which is the Rabbanon. You're not allowed to leave something on the fire if it's not Gorah V'Katum, unless it's Chai or it's a special called Tzarkai and it's Tamik V'Rallah. How about if you made a mistake and you left it on the fire? So then, even though you're not allowed to leave it on the fire, but if it's Tamik V'Yafal, if it's fully cooked, we'll let you use it. But if you b'mezid left it on the fire, then it's also even if it's mistamik v'yafalei.
And it's also on Tomos Shabbos, right?
Tomos Shabbos, yeah. Haga.
Even if it's mistamik v'rallah, no?
So mistamik v'rallah, maybe not. I didn't speak it out. But mistamik v'rallah could be it's mutter, because there you're not gaining anything of it. Nothing's happening. It's just getting worse. Every time we make a knas, is if you gained something off of it. You didn't gain anything off of it. Mistamik v'yafaloi you gained. Mistamik v'raloi you didn't gain anything. So it could be mistamik v'raloi would be mutter. Which Bruce speaks it out? When both speaks it out? No? But since you asked, check it up for you. So Mr. Bruce speaks it out over here. Yasif Kam Laman, I think it is.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, sorry, there must be there. Sorry, there must be there. This must be there. Let's see the Ramaga. Ad b'chtei sheyasu. It's also the mechzidam akum of a goy. Put it back on Shabbos. We went to Chazara here. Dina kishokach v'shia. As in a shokach v'shah. If it's mistamik v'yefala, it's mutter. The mechzidam Yisrael dina ka'avar v'shia. If Yisrael returned it on Shabbos, then it's din like avar v'shah. And we can't say, even if it's mistamik v'yafaloi, the mistamik v'raloi, mutter she'eloi nana shemoneh-esrei. So here's the klal. So mistamik v'raloi,
if it's getting bad, then it's mutter.
Then it's mutter. So it's important to speak out over here. I mean, the Acharei speak out over here that if mistamik v'raloi is mutter because they're not being nana b'chlal, but let's say it was cold, and you put it on the fire and it got warm, even though it's mistamik v'raloi, you're being nana the fact that it got warm. So then it will be awesome. We're talking about that it was warm anyway. That's the first sheet in the Mechaber. Second sheet in the Mechaber is V'yesh Oimim Shekol Tzarech Masel K'macha Ben D'Usay, which is Chananya Shita. Anytime it's cooked already, K'macha Ben D'Usay, Pin Shem Adam Shei Oichel Machaloi, Shneis Basher Kol Tzarechai, Oy Shneis Basher Kol Tzarechai Mistamik V'yafaloi, Mutter L'Ashoy Se Al Gabi Akira. Hago Ayafilu Al Gabi Tanur. It's Mutter. Hafilu Husid B'Gefes V'Eitzim, Hafilu Ene Grufa V'Ktuma. So according to this Shita, once it's a special Kemarchel Ben D'Usay, it's mutter. You're not worried about somebody chat anymore, and it's mutter.
All around.
All around. I feel the Hulsa Begavas V'Eitzim, I feel the Ene Grufa V'Ktuma, but the Hulsa Grufa V'Ktuma, B'Hensik, B'Kash V'Gavava, Elik Shhitzchel is Basho, for the Gil Machel Ben D'Usay. If it didn't reach Machel Ben D'Usay, then you have an issue, you need Gara for Chotim. Chen the Indian, if not al hakdera me'aleh bol hakziro le'abashabbos, then That's why you need Garif Akatim for Chazara, like we'll see in the next Sif and Sif Beis. So here's the second Shita, which is Chananya. Chananya holds that if you're doing if it's a special Kamacha Ben D'Resoi, then it's mutter to leave it even by Einay Garif, by Einay Katim.
It doesn't matter b'mezid.
No, you're allowed to leave it. You're mutter to leave it. Yeah, you're allowed to leave it on the fire when it's Garif, but even though it's not Garif Akatim. So there's a big kula over here, then you're allowed to leave something on the fire as long as there's a special Kamacha Ben D'Resoi. So the Mechaber, the Klal of the Mechaber is that Stam V'yesh, halacha Kestam. So the Mechaber basically is Machmir like the Rabbanon, and you have to have Mitztamid V'rala in order to leave it in the oven with the fire on without Garif Akatim. So you wouldn't have a heter for that. The Ramah, we'll see in a second what the Ramah says. The Ramah says, Meshakach V'shiyah, Tavim Shehitzchol Espasur L'Gila Machmir D'Resoi, Osir, Vein Tzarech Lemim, Ava V'shiyah, it applies Osir. Agar, V'nohagu L'Hakel T'Svara Ha'achroina. The Ramah says, U'mekel, like the Svara Achroina, which is the second Shita, that with Kamacha Ben D'Resoi, you don't need Garif V'Katim. That's what the Ramah passes. So come out, you've already leave something in the oven, and the fire is on. So if you're Sfardi, you have to be a Machmer. If you can't leave it on, you have to shut your fire. Unless it's Mistamid V'raloi, which usually our food in the oven for a night, it's not Mistamid V'raloi. It's Mistamid V'raloi and a Chanami, but usually it's not Mistamid V'raloi, so you wouldn't be able to leave it in the oven with the fire on, because there's no Garif Akatim. Ashkenazi has the heter of the Ramah. The Ma'aseh the Halacha is Machmir, and he says that you should be Machmir, even the Ashkenazim should be Machmir ke Shita Rishonim. So I'm not sure why, but the Olam today, on top of the fire, no one would leave anything on an uncovered fire. But in this oven, you find Ma'aseh Michal Yoim that people do leave stuff in the oven with the fire on. They have a Shabbos clock, the oven goes off 2-3 hours after Shabbos starts, and they leave the food in the oven. So you have to make sure it's a special Kamacha Ben D'Resoi. And even then, you're relying on a kula, which the B'ya Halacha says you should not rely on.
And usually that we have a Rabbim and a Yochid, Chananya versus a Chachamim. We go with the Yochid.
Never Halacha Rabbim.
Yeah.
Yeah, here Pas Chananya. It's right in the Gemara, the Pas Chananya. So that's the Sikum over here, person should be Machmir. But definitely we see soon that for Chazara and the oven's on, everyone agrees it's Asr. If someone takes food out of the oven to give a child, let's say, the oven's on, and he puts it back, that's Asr. You can't do that. Everyone agrees that's Asr, the oven's on.
Even with all the Tanoim of holding it in the
doesn't make a difference. The first Tanai has to be Garif Akatim. That's the first Tanai.
But on a covered, you can't.
On a covered blech, you could. So on a covered blech, people know. But in the oven, for some reason, people, I'm not sure why, but the oven itself, people assume that it's mutter. I don't know why. So you have to be very careful with when the oven's on, not to put something back in. Okay, says the Chaber Vayt, V'chol zeh v'inyin shehoyak shehiyah, that's on the Shia Shekderi Shabbos, Al-Kitzi Shabbazel, Gabi Avonim, v'inyin negat v'cholim. That's only been the Gei Shehiyah, this whole halacha, Aval HaTmona, Gabi Gecholim, the V'yakol Osir, but to be matmin it, on top of the Gecholim, everyone agrees it's Osir. This is the Sugya of HaTmona, which we'll get to later on, is that the Mechaber holds that HaTmona, even if it's not mutman inside, it's just lying on top of it, it's called HaTmona, and it's Osir, it's touching the fire. Hagah, V'yashayimim, Afilu Magdero, Hemedef Agabi Ya'ish Mamish, Kozman Shehi, Megula, Lamaila, Lamikri Atmona, we hold, Ashkenazim hold, that even if it's on the fire Mamish, if it's uncovered on top, it's not called Atmona, V'shari, V'chein HaMinig. Makshanis Horim, that's the minig in the Ashkenazim. The Sfardim, they may hold, it's called Atmona. You can't leave something on a fire, on a moist of heaven.
So that covers taking it from Shia to Hatmana. So since we don't have the cover, we hold that it's like Shia.
We hold it's like Shia and it's mutter. Hatmana B'davar HaMotzei Hevel on Shabbos. You'll see later on it's Asr. We hold this is not called Hatmana, so it's open on top and therefore it's mutter. Actually, it's harder than that. The movement out of the coals a little bit before Shabbos. So you should be able to take it out from there. And if not, so now you're worried by taking it off and end up moving the coals. Yes, a guy could do it. Should take it slowly. We should remove the coals. There's a davar she'ein mischaven, and it's mutter. And if a guy takes it off, we'll see later on the siman that the guy, even though it's a psik reisha, we are makel by a psik reisha by a guy that it's mutter. That is Sif Aleph. That's all the Negeya Shehiyah. Chananya, Rabbanan, Chananya, Chaber Paskins like the Rabbanan, the Rabbanan Paskins like Chananya. Kira Shei Grufa B'Ktuma. Now we're going to Chazara. Kira Shei Grufa B'Ktuma.
So, but under Shehiyah, we have different shitas as to Shehiyah, meaning you put it on before Shabbos and take it off before Shabbos, versus leaving it on before Shabbos. He has in his Akdama, he talks about the different types of Shehiyah, no?
Who has?
In the Mishnah Torah. Yeah, so he talks about the difference between Shehiyah, where you have it on before Shabbos and you take it off before Shabbos, versus leaving it on before Shabbos and then taking it off on Shabbos. No?
That's Chazara, that's next week.
Oh, that's Chazara, okay.
That's next week, yeah. Shia means you leave it there from before Shabbos. Let's see Chazara now. See base. Kira Shei Grufa B'Ktuma. It has to be Dafka Gar V'Katam. It's the first klal of Chazara. Chazara is only mutter when it's Gar V'Katam. If it's not Gar V'Katam, according to everybody, no matter what the case is, it's Asr. Chazara is Asr. So Kira Shei Grufa B'Ktuma, but not like a data me'aleh full of Bishabbos, mutter la'achzira. You're allowed to put it back on. Kol zman shehi reisachas, as long as it is still hot. And the reason why ni reisachas, the one Ram speaks out of it, because if it cools down, it's a problem of bishul achar bishul, and we are water that cools down totally is bishul achar bishul. We'll see later on in SEMICHA Program that we hold the water, if it's not reisachas anymore, then we make up. Even though it goes down, it's not Resachas anymore, still at Bishul Bishul, but the Ramah holds, as long as it goes under Resachas, then bringing it back up is automatically called Bishul Bishul.
Yeah. Does that even if it gets cold, the water?
If it gets fully cold, then yes, Bishul Bishul.
Yeah, I thought we still were everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So if it's still Resachas, and the Mechaber says, V'loi nicha gabe karka, yeah, we'll skip to more for a reason. Then it's mutter. You got to put it back on the fire. So the Mechaber holds all you need for tonight Chazara is to still be hot. Triple gar for cotton for sure. Still be hot. And didn't put it on the floor. So the Ramah comes with two chumras. So the Ramah says Hagav v'oide b'yadai. It's still in your hand. So which means right away a Mechaber and the Ramah. The Mechaber holds the chilik is kisha b'sapsul. The Mechaber holds that you have to put it on the floor, which shows you don't have a mind to use it anymore. If you put it on a kisha b'sapsul, put it on a bench, according to the Mechaber, it's still good. According to the Ramah, you have to still be holding it in your hand. Even if you put it down on a kisha b'sapsul, it's still a problem. And you need hagav b'dayit l'achzir, you have to have a mind to put it back on the fire. So the Mechaber is very mekel. The Mechaber holds as long as you didn't put it in the refrigerator. Today, agabe karka, basically by us, is to put it away in the refrigerator. But when we take Shalom Friday night, we take anything Friday night, so Ashkenazim are very makbid, you have to keep it in your hand. You can't put it on the counter, you can't put it anywhere. Why? Because we go to Ramah, the Ramah says, V'oida b'yadai. According to the Sfardim, they don't have the V'oida b'yadai, you can put it down on the counter, take from it, and then put it back on.
You can get hot, you know?
Yeah,
it's burning your hand, so you want to just grab it something.
So you can't. You're not put it down. According to the Ramah, you're not put it down anyway.
The sardines in your house for Friday night, and he takes it off, can you enjoy it?
You don't know talking about that as far as the 3 hours.
I try not to about it.
There's no shot about it by Daitel Hazira. You have to have a more to put it back. So Sfadi doesn't need Daitel Hazira. So if he doesn't have Daitel Hazira, speak about it. So it's telling the owner, or it's telling the person who did it. I'm just telling the owner. Yeah. So that's the Mechaber and the Ramah. The Mechaber holds that all you need is Nicha Gaber Karka. The Ramah holds you have to have Oide Biyadai and Daitel Hazira, V'dafka al Gabo. Aval Teicha, also you're not allowed to put it back inside the oven. Our ovens today, they say, is different because there's no Gabo and Teicha in the oven. You don't keep it. The stovetop is its own thing. What it means over here is, in those ovens, the same fire you're able to put inside and on top. So inside is more Mexican mavashal than leaving it on top. But our oven's only one place to put it in, so the Chayim say they're allowed to put it back inside also, if it's Garab V'Kotel. You have to remember that. Garab V'Kotel is the only time you're allowed to put it back in. Ubatana Oslach Zira full of Garab V'Kotel, more than the Kupach and the Sikha Begefetz V'Eitzim, by the time of Machmer, there's no heter of Chazara. Garab V'Kavka Shai Tavshil, Chavushal Kol Tzorchai, only if it's fully cooked. Because if it's not fully cooked, then you have a bishul. You know about this, putting it on the fire, Mexican mavashal, it's real bishul. So you take something off the fire, Friday night, and it's not fully cooked, you're not put it back on. Even though you're holding it in your hands, it has to be in a special called tzorchai.
Again, that's assuming we don't hold Hanani.
What do you mean?
Because according to Hanani, it doesn't have to be Wushal for tzorchai.
No, here's Garab V'Kotel. Well, that's true. Here it's Garab V'Kotel.
Right.
There's no chiluk in Chanani D'Rabbanan. The whole chiluk in Chanani D'Rabbanan is by Shehiyah Ba'inei Garab V'Kotel. Here it's a Chazara problem.
Right.
It's Garab V'Kotel. Even the Chanani has maskim over here.
That's awesome.
No, if it's not a special called tzorchai, it's also you're cooking on Shabbos. You put it back on, you're cooking on Shabbos. Everyone agrees.
He's not cholik with the Mechaber here, he's just elucidating. Like in
Correct.
other words, it's not like the Mechaber would say you could take it out if it wasn't fully cooked.
No. Everyone agrees you have to have a special called tzorchai. Otherwise, it's a problem of bishul. Chazar, you have to have a special called tzorchai. But why is special called tzorchai? If it's not fully cooked, even the same kira, it's also to put it back because of bishul. V'yesh aymer the cholza ein aser, rak yishanot le min hakira ben ba'oid yoim, v'la'echzira acha chashcha. Aval mocha misham shechashecha, afilu nicha gaber karka mutter. So here's the famous Ran. Ran's mekel, and the Ran holds that you take something off the fire on Shabbos, you're always allowed to return it, as long as it's Garab V'Kotel. You're always allowed to return it, whether it's put on the ground, whether it's ein daitel hachzir, you're allowed to return it. The only time you need it tonight Chazara is when you took it off before Shabbos, and you want to put it back on Shabbos. Then you have to be holding it, and you have to have a daitel hachzir. That's what the Ran holds.
But the Ran is only a mekel, but he still holds it because of the special called tzorchai.
For sure. Special called tzorchai is a given because otherwise it's bishul. Says the Ramah,
If you took it off before
if you took it off before Shabbos and you want to put it back on Shabbos, then you have to have a Tanai Chazara. That's the Ran. It's a famous Ran. It's a very important Ran because the Ma'aser, we're going according to the Ran. So today, on Shabbos, you take something off the fire. You want to take Shabbos Friday night, put it down on the counter, take it easy, calmly, take it out, holding it in the air, put it down on the counter, take some, and then put it back on according to the Ran. It's mutter. Right? And not just that, the Ramah says, V'chein nehagel haka, v'tanurim shalanu, sheyesh lahem din kira. V'seimchen atzman ad divrei makira. But, says the Ramah, v'tayv l'hachmer. It's good to be machmer. So it's interesting. The Ramah here comes out that you could be samech on the Ran l'kula. Take it off the fire, put it on the counter, and take what you want to put it back on. You won't see anybody be makel today. No place today will be makel with this Ran. So most of the type of hachmer. Miyu, If it's found, if it got cooled down, the cool down, also everyone agrees that I'll put it back on because then already it's a problem of fishing. The Yesh Oimrim, another shita, the Mhaitzi Michael min Chatanu b'Shabbos, Osla Nicha b'Karim b'Sasais, you're not allowed to put it into blankets because that's called Atmana. Yesh Oimrim, the Chashu Samach L'Chashecha, which was a very important Shiloh, Anu Chumrah, that's what you were talking about before, Simi. The Yesh Oimrim, the Chashu Samach L'Chashecha, anything that's close to night, like Samach L'Baruch Lichtenstein Shabbos Nidon, and Musamach L'Kach, and it's Tanan HaKadera, Yefshel L'Haticha M'Vaydiyim, Dilek M'B'Shabbos Atzmoi, and you're not allowed to put it on. Now what does that mean? Yesh Makilim Ezeva, Mineg L'Hakum. Ach, Toiv L'Hachim B'Makim She'ein Tzon, Tzorech L'Kach. So what does this mean over here? Basically, this halacha is, you take a pot off the fire before Shabbos, and you want to put it back on Samach L'Shabbos, close to Shabbos, that's also called Chazara. Till now we had Chazara on Shabbos, up to on Shabbos. From before Shabbos, on Shabbos. Now we have a third one. From before Shabbos to right before Shabbos, then also is a din Chazara. And you're not allowed to put it on the fire when it's close enough to Shabbos that it's the time that if it would be cold, it wouldn't be able to get hot. That's that din of the Ramah. The Yeshayim the Choshu Samach L'Chashecha Samach L'Baruch Shegabal Shabbos Nidon the Musamach L'Kach Shemitzan L'Gderi Yefshel Aticha M'Baydoyim Dinay K'may B'Shabbos Atzmoi, and you're not allowed to put it back on the fire unless it's Gorah for Unless it's Gorah for Cotton. Now you don't need to Tanai Chazara. Because you can put it down on the floor, you could, that's mutter. The only thing you would need is Gorah for Cotton. So we're speaking out behind that for Indian to be a group for Ketumah K'mar Shabbos. Well, that's the halacha-theory is like, you don't need that. So this is very negaya. It's not so negaya because on top it's not so negaya. Because what happens is people take stuff out of the oven and they take off the stove top out of the oven and put a blech on and then put it on the blech before Shabbos. That's fine. That's Gorah for Cotton. The question is, they're putting stuff into the oven. That could be a problem. If you're putting stuff into the oven is not Gorah for Cotton, you have to be careful. Because if it's Samach L'Shabbos so much that it's not enough time that it'll be Matiach, it'll get hot, it's also to do it. It's not Gorah for Cotton.
And the fact that it is hot, you took off a stove top and you want to put it in the oven, you can't do that.
If it's not Gorah for Cotton, you can't do it. That's the command.
So you have a pot of spaghetti in the oven, spaghetti and meatballs on top of the stove,
right.
And you want to take it out right before Shabbos and put it inside the oven to keep warm.
You can't do it. According to Shita, you can't do it. Because it has to be somewhat, it's so close to Shabbos that it won't have enough time to heat up by itself.
It's already,
but it
doesn't make a difference.
Okay, but if I took it from the fridge and put it
also
in the
oven,
it's also a problem.
Also a problem, yeah.
But that's not what it's talking about here.
Same thing, it's a chazara, it's a shemoneh chatchila, same thing.
That would not be chazara, that would be...
It's even worse. It's even worse. Yeah, it will come out according to the shita. If someone wants to take stuff from the refrigerator, his oven is on, he wants to put it into the oven before Shabbos, right before light benching, it'll be a problem.
Even if it's fully cooked.
Even if it's fully cooked, doesn't make a difference. It has to be Gorah for Cotton. The oven will have to be Gorah for Cotton.
Which ours aren't.
Our ovens are not Gorah for Cotton. Take something straight from the refrigerator, and it's not enough time for it to get hot before Shabbos. We also have to put it in the oven.
And so it has to be enough time for it to heat up before Shabbos.
Before Shabbos, yeah.
And even if the oven is set to go up 3 hours into Shabbos, we don't go back up for cotton.
No, now it's not going for cotton. Now it's on.
So right now it's on.
Yeah.
And there's, because that last point that he made, so in the summer, it could be, we're ready to Kabbalah Shabbos, but it's not someone who it doesn't matter, right?
It's our Kabbalah Shabbos, right? Yeah.
Full flavor, right? So
that's what it says. The Ramah says, "V'yesh makilim ezeva minig l'hakom, ach toiv l'hachmem mokum shein tzorech l'kach." No?
Okay.
What do we do with that? Yeah.
Let's do it both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. What's called a tzarech al-kach, what I would say is, which is very negaya. Someone keeps the oven on, and why they're putting it in beforehand? Because they put it in half hour before Shabbos, it'll get overcooked.
Right.
So maybe that's called a tzarech. Because you don't want to leave it there so long. You don't want to leave it in the oven for so long. Because it's going to get overcooked and it's going to get ruined, the food. So therefore they put it right before Shabbos, the oven's on. They come up from shul an hour later, then the food will be perfect. If we put it in much earlier, then it won't be good. That could be called the tzarech. That could be the heter. Okay. V'daf al-gabi kira mamish av-lusmech afilu samach la'esh b'mokim sheyatz ledes boy shari afilu samach la'shechah. We said before, smicha is mutter, u'vatana echiluk ben ha'achzer olav lusmech etzla, like we said before, v'daf b'mokim sheyatz ledes avol ene yatz ledes shari afilu b'shabbos when she's bar l'kamot simish yatches. If it's in a place where it's not yatz ledes boy, it's always mutter. Sif Gimel. Hamashkim Aboiker. Someone gets up in the morning. The Rosh Shekdicha Tafshila, he sees that his tafshil is starting to burn. The Yira Penyakdiach Yeses, so it gets burnt more. So what can you do? Yachal Hase Volaniach Kedeira Yeshana. They'll take an old pot and put it on the fire. Ekonis. Apikira. Then he could put something on top of the empty pot. So the answer is over here basically to put a pot in between. You have to have a tunay chazara. You shouldn't put it on the ground, and it has to be a sachas. And according to Ramah, you have to have oid biyodai and dain toile hagzi. For the smash and noyegam lahakal afam noslan gabi karka. Here the Ramah says it again. I said before that you can make it with the ran. Even Noslan Gavakarka you can be makel. The man said we're not makel.
So in this case it's the kira garfakotum? No,
not garfakotum. It's not garfakotum. There's a pot on the fire, and there was a special called torah before Shabbos, whatever smell you had, you wake up in the morning and it's starting to burn. So basically what you're doing is you're making it garfakotum. But more than that. But more than just making garfakotum, you're putting pot on top to the basket.
It's strange to get that in mind for Chazar. The whole reason why you're doing it.
That's fine. Doing it for that.
The whole action shows.
That's fine.
You have a black hen that you realize Shabbos.
One second, before you say it, 1 second. Who said that you have to have a mind? I spoke to them.
Yeah,
you're right. I shouldn't have spoken to them. The Mechaber and the mother speaking out. Of course you have a mind. That's what you're doing. That's fine. You understand?
So if you have a black whatever, and Shabbos morning you realize it's getting too hot, you can take a pot and put it in between to cool.
Yeah, upside down pot.
Upside down,
put it in between, correct.
On Shabbos itself.
On Shabbos, that's what I say, you can take an upside down pot and put it on the black and put something on top of the pot.
Typically have that
for the refrigerator.
Typically you have your black, you have a pot on it, and then you have your pot. Isn't that typically how we put foods anyway? We put on the black?
Well, your pot, you want to put something on top of the pot.
Yeah,
that's for sure you can do.
Everybody do it. I thought that's when we standardized. Put it directly on top of the black is not in.
No, you can't put it directly on top of the black. Okay, see down. People who have a hot jug of water. They put it to the there on Shabbos. When the tafshil starts to get, the stomach starts to shrivel, you want to add more water. So you have a kum-kum-shamayim, hot water, and you add it to that. You shouldn't do it because sometimes one is yatz ledes boy and one is not yatz ledes boy, and therefore it is asur. Hey, mutter last night.
It seems like obvious.
Pashut halacha. That's a pashut halacha because if we're very negaya, you take hot water from your china and you pour it to your challah.
Yeah, what's the difference?
Hold it on.
Because you know the both yatz.
That's different. It's not so pashut. I mean.
Okay.
See, hey, mutter last night pikadei lechamer b'Shabbos. Allowed put on top of the Geder's Chametz similar to Sif Gimel. Tafshil is Bashlam by Shabbos called Torah, and Gnadish which ain't derech bishul b'kach. Allowed to put food on top of a pot of food because it's not derech bishul b'kach. But to put it under the clothing which is on top of the pot and the tzur and gam mecham, also because that's called atmana. Atmana is also b'Shabbos. So therefore you're not allowed to do atmana, but you're allowed to put it on top of the pot. Hagor, the one thing also lanicha agabe kira, a full group for a ktumo. So now that I put it lechatchila on a kira, even though it's got for kotim. So now that I put something on a blach on Shabbos, from the refrigerator onto the blach, it's awesome. But only matter chazara if it was on a gar for kotim, you took it off and I put that same thing back on. But once you took it off, you're now allowed to put it back. Once it's in the refrigerator, you're now allowed to put it on the lechatchila. Some people are not there to put it in the oven. They cooked them since they didn't put food in there for Shabbos. They were matmin for Shabbos. They happen to have used the oven erev Shabbos, the all that's left in there is a little bit of heat. An oven that was on yesterday, so today you're allowed to put it in there, even the lechatchila.
Because it's not really, we consider it like kochati.
Yeah, but even gar b'kotim, I'll put the lechatchila in gar b'kotim. It's awesome.
Yeah, because there's only a little bit of heat.
But it's hot. That's a lettuce boy. Still you're allowed to do it. That's a chiddush here.
So again, with the pot on Shabbos, you take something out of the fridge and you want to warm it up. As long as you have
something upside down.
Yeah. Because it's not going to be
because the pot. So that's the this shiloh is really the shiloh of the warming plates.
Yeah.
The warming plates is a problem because the warming plates, the chari, you could cook something on the warming plate. This halacha is that the tanur was empty erev Shabbos, and now on Shabbos it's hot, but you can't cook there. So therefore they'll make them. Some people want to say the warming trays, not the plates.
Yeah.
But the warming trays, the metal trays that you put food in, you can't cook anything in there. Nothing will ever cook there. And therefore it's mutter lechatchila to put something in, even on a chazara. And they get it from this halacha. You have to know it's not a place where you cannot cook. It's just meant to keep warm. Some plates can want to be made because it's not meant to cook there. Even if something happens to be cooked there, it's called a warming drawer. This is a warming drawer, it's called that. So a warming drawer is a warming drawer. Most places in the machmir, they should not put it into a warming drawer. So if the oven was empty before Shabbos, and now it's l'nishim rak havel ma'at ve'en lochos l'bishul u'levad shlo l'tzan l'gamri, has to be that the food wasn't l'tzan l'gamri, because if it wasn't l'tzan l'gamri, then it is a problem of bishul. Regular problem of bishul. Yes, machmirim is there. Some people machmir she'im ha'choim kol kach v'tanur. She'yatz l'edus boy also, as long as yatz l'edus boy, it's also, even though it's not very hot, but as long as yatz l'edus boy, it's always also. So according to this shita, a warming tray is also to the sin of the lechatchila. I said to him, anything from these things that are also loimer ba'akom, you're not allowed to go either lasos, you're not allowed to tell a goy to do anything that you cannot do. Also loimer ba'akom ba'hachem ha'kadeira im nitztanen. You're not allowed to tell a goy to warm up a pot if it got cold. Them also came also l'ochlai afilu tzoynin. You're not allowed to eat it even after it cooled down. That means the guy went ahead and he warmed something up for you on Shabbos, you're not allowed to eat it. And not just that, even after it cooled down again, now you want to eat it, it stays also. So once it's also, it stays also.
The second part I understand. The first part I don't know why they remind to tell us that, because it's a mir lakum and a mir.
Yeah, that's Since it was a common problem, looking at the Morgan of Ron, Tzmach was a common problem in those days. They used to warm up food constantly for eating. Okay. Says the Rabbi, the Omer Lichtenstein Shabbos, Shadayin Ruyin Le'echol, Dem Chamamai Oisei Akum Mutter Le'echol. So here he's saying that if, let's say, the guy went ahead and he warmed it up for you, but it was edible the way it was. It was warm enough that you could eat it, or food that you could eat cold. And the guy went ahead and he warmed it up for you. Since you could have eaten it without the guy warming it up, therefore it is mutter to eat it. So it really depends on what type of food we're talking about. Because food that's royal lechol tzainin, that the guy warms it up for you, he can't ruin it for you. Because even though it tastes better for you cold, hot still, if the guy warms it up, it's mutter to eat it. Because it's possible to eat it cold. But if it's something that's not possible to eat cold, and the guy warms it up for you, it's also to eat it. L'chein, says the Ramah, the Hagim. So what do? You have food on Shabbos. The guy's not allowed to warm it up for you. So how do we get our food warm? Says the Ramah, it gives you an answer. L'chein Hagim she'akum moitziin ha'kedeis min ha'tanurim she'metminin behem u'moishivin oisam etel tanu be'zachayif ha'olav. They put it next to the heating elements, the heat of the house. The guy goes ahead and lights the fire in the heating. So here the heter is that a guy is allowed to put on the heat on Shabbos. As we see, everyone is called a chaylim when it comes time to being cold. And therefore, there's a heter for the guy to go ahead and turn on the heating elements on Shabbos. Light the fire for the heating. Once he's doing that, he's allowed to put the food there before he lights the fire, and then when he lights the fire, it's going to warm up the food also. So that a guy is allowed to do. But through Yisrael is not allowed to put it there even though the fire wasn't lit. So it comes out over here a bit chumrah, that if Yisrael goes ahead and he puts the fire pot on the fire, and the guy is going to turn on the fire in a half hour, he's not allowed to do that. Why not? What did he do? That's called echad ma'asim l'kedera, echad ma'asim l'eish. All of them are awesome. So you're not allowed to put a pot on a heating element that you know the guy is going to turn on soon. There's also a famous shiloh that some people have the ovens on a timer. So it goes on Friday night, and then it goes off Shabbos day, and it goes back on for Shabbos, let's say. So you want to put challah in the oven Shabbos afternoon before the oven goes back on. So you'll have warm challah for Shabbos Shabbos. So when you put your challah in the oven isn't on. But later on, 10 minutes later, the oven's going to go on. You can't do that. No different than this halacha. Al the is a dayan chamin, but if the gderes are still hot, mutar v'hamidam etel tana beis ha'chorif. Why? Me'achash and isbar zanurim shalanu yesh lehem din kira v'smicha b'kira sheni grupa v'ktuma k'din grupa v'ktuma. If the food is still hot, and you're allowed to put it there, as long as the food didn't get cold, so there's no cooking-bishul anymore. Therefore, it's mutar v'smicha k'din grupa v'ktuma k'din grupa v'ktuma v'in l'sin alel. So that's the kula over here. Now there's very important Magen Avram over here, that the heter over here through a guy. What's the heter why a guy is allowed to do it? Because there's no psik reisha by a guy. A guy will put something on the fire, on the heating element, and then he turns it on. Even though through that he's for sure heating up the food, it's mutar because there's no psik reisha by a guy. He says that again, it's interesting, right? The Ramah in 3 places, very important to know. In 3 places the Ramah says that the gate Noi Chazara will make it with the Ram. It says it right away, it says it in Sif Gimel, and it says it in Sif Hey again. 3 times he repeats himself. The Maisa today, no one's makel. Even though the Ramah repeats it 3 times. I'm not sure why. I don't know why the other is not makel. But they take food Friday night, everyone's makbid to make sure you don't put the pot down. I'm not sure why. I asked the Shlem a few times, I pushed him to the wall, why we're not makel, and he wouldn't be makel. Even with Shasat Chak, he wasn't makel. I'm not sure why. So who I did? This is my Tanish and the God of the cotton. Hoil v'agdeira dayan cham u'mavushuk l'tzartoi, v'chein aminik pashut v'hatir v'ayin l'kamon simin shin yud ches v'negei dinei bishul. Fine. That's in relation to Gimel. I hope it wasn't too fast. Next week, I think we're going to go to Simin Shin Yud Ches. We'll go straight to Bishul. Relation to Gimel, Shin Yud Ches. We'll get back to that tomorrow, maybe later on. But next week we'll do Simin Shin Yud Ches.
Shin Yud Ches.